A reader asked, if God revealed himself to the world, would you worship him? Yes.
In a way, I kind of feel bad about hitting the same guy twice in a row. It seems, well, mean. But I got a lot of viewer requests to respond to this video, so let's do this. Greetings, fellow space travelers, BionicDance here. So, it turns out that this guy is the Friendly Atheist, and not the atheist voice like I said in my last video. But you know what? I'm not even going to say my bad on this one, because here's a picture of his channel. Easy mistake to make. But that's not important. What is important is what he says about himself, and atheists in general, worshipping a god if one were to show up. I'm not 100% certain what he means, and honestly, I'm not sure he is either. Have a look.
Yeah, the only reason I don't believe in God is because there's no evidence of his existence.
And I agree. The reason I don't believe in a god is because there's no evidence for one. Exactly. However, he just jumped from worship to believe. And I'd like to say he's just being sloppy with his terminology, except later he says this.
But if all of a sudden that proof was staring right at me, like legitimate scientific proof of God's existence was right in front of me, yeah, I would say, wow, I was totally wrong. Way to prove yourself, God, and now I guess I have to start worshiping you, and oh damn, I'm screwed right now.
So now it sounds as if he's not equating belief and worship. But then there's this.
I think atheists are more honest in that they would say, I would change my mind if confronted with the evidence.
So maybe he's not equating belief and worship, but what are we talking about here? Are we talking about whether we'd believe when confronted with the evidence? Or are we talking about whether we'd worship a god if one were to show up? Or is it both? I honestly can't tell. He's all over the place.
But it's not like I would say, oh, God is right in front of my face. Nope, I'm still going to say you don't exist. No, that'd be disingenuous. That would be lying to myself if I knew God existed and I fought against him.
And once again, I 100% agree. If I saw evidence for a deity, then I'd probably believe in that God. But that's a separate question from whether or not I'd worship him, her, it, or them. Let's suppose it turned out to be the Abrahamic God, the God of the Bible, the Torah, or the Quran. There is no way I would worship that God. You only have to read those holy texts to realize that that God is a complete prick. There is no way I'm worshiping that fucker. In fact, I've said it before and I'll say it again, I'd be looking for that magic ring or flaming sword that could kill that God. Or why does he need belief and worship so badly? Could it be that if we stop doing those things, he'd just fade away like it's the source of his power? But all right, just for the sake of argument, let's suppose it turns out to be a completely benign, even benevolent God, one who provides all the necessities of life to make sure that we're safe and happy. I still wouldn't worship. I'd be grateful. I'd be very thankful to anyone who does that sort of thing for me. But would I worship? Would I bow down and genuflect and say I'm your eternal servant? Ooh, I'm not worthy? Fuck no. Not only do I have my pride, but no benevolent deity should even want that.
Now, the question I want to ask is, if I could convince you, if I could show you enough evidence that God doesn't exist, how many Christians are willing to say that same thing? How many of them are willing to say they would change their minds as well?
Probably very few. For one thing, it's very difficult to prove a negative. The best you can do is show evidence that precludes the possibility of what they're claiming being true. But it's also been my experience that if you do that, most religious people will just retcon the dogma so they can continue believing.
Please leave your comments and thoughts below, and we will check them out soon.
You got it. Until next time, fellow space travelers, this is BionicDance saying don't run on automatic. Instead, please think.